the August 12th, 2024 regular city council meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Clerk Deaton, let the roll call show everyone is present. And we will move on to approval of the minutes for July 22nd, 2024. Councilmember Bogert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move to accept the agenda or the minutes as presented.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Moving on to approval of the bills for this evening. Councilmember Mosier.
I'll move to approve the bills as presented.
I'll support.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Moving on to approval of the agenda. But before we get to approving the agenda, it's come to my attention that the motion made in the public portion of the meeting after the closed session on July 8th, 2024, was omitted from the meeting minutes due to a clerical error. It was not corrected at the next meeting as required by the Open Meetings Act, and therefore I would like to make a record of the action today. After the closed session on July 8th, 2024, before the motion to adjourn, a motion was made by Councilmember Kurtzwell and supported by Councilmember Hanson to authorize the city attorney to proceed as discussed in closed session. A vote was taken and the motion passed unanimously. We will take this up as new business number 1 later in the agenda. At this point, I would be looking for a motion to approve the agenda as amended and a second. Councilmember,
I'll move to approve the agenda as amended.
thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this one? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda for this evening. We have 2 items on the consent agenda. The first is for the Dorothy Street Block Party, and the second is for the Pumpkin Fest 5K Run. Councilmember Kurtzwell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move the consent agenda as presented by the mayor.
I'll second.
Support.
We have a motion by Councilmember Kurtzwell, a second by Councilmember Mosier. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Move on to public comment for this evening. And we have 2 minutes. You're welcome to approach the podium and make a statement to the board if you would like. Just state your name and address for the city clerk. Seeing none, we'll close public comment and move on to a discussion of downtown with the DDA Director, Nate Mack.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, council. To start off, we received notification, I believe on July 30th, that the MLCC has referred the application for a new Class C redevelopment license for 228 South Lafayette for the investigation as part of the licensing process. So they're moving forward with that application. It hasn't officially been approved yet, but it's off of somebody's desk and actually in the hands of a liquor control investigator. So that's good. That means they're moving forward and hopefully everything will come back good and we'll be able to get them that Class C license. For the other license that was approved by council, I haven't received that information yet from the state. They send a letter to us letting us know that it's going to be investigated. So once we get that letter for 127 East Lake Street, which is the old Lake Street Tavern, I'll update you on that as well. We continue to meet with the DDA directors from Highland, New Hudson, and Wixom to host an event in February that will hopefully be a burger battle between the 4 communities. I think it could be something pretty cool where kind of, friendly pitting each other against the communities, but in a good way to, drum up business for our community as well as the others. At the July 18th, 2024 Oakland County Board of Commissioners meeting, the $301,000 that was allocated to South Lyon was officially approved by the board. They sent out the interlocal agreement, I believe, last Thursday. to be signed off on. So once we get that signed off and back to the county, we'll receive 75% of those funds, and then the remaining 25% will be dispersed once the 75% has been expended. And then finally, the DDA board met last week. During the meeting, they discussed the ongoing issue of last-minute vendor cancellations, which is within 24 hours of the market, so 9 a.m. on Friday. It's become a greater issue at the market in recent weeks, so the board decided to extend the policy to 48 hours to let the market manager know, to basically be considerate, to give her more time to try and find a new vendor. And the board also appointed its new slate of officers, which is Jeff Heinonen as the chair, David Barton as vice chair, Tanya Nevitt as secretary, and Melissa Borgman as treasurer. That's it for me. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Anybody have any questions for Nate? Councilmember Bogert?
In regards to the cancellations, are there certain vendors that have canceled more than one time?
Yes, there are.
Would it, I'm wondering if maybe there should be a policy about the number of cancellations that a vendor could,
We do have that in place. Currently,
Okay.
it's 3.
okay,
3 unexcused absences, and then we can say, sorry, you're not welcome back, or kind of work with them.
Right.
So,
thank you.
What else? Councilmember Mosier?
Yeah, thank you. What constitutes an unexcused absence?
it's saying, sorry, I don't feel like coming to the market today, or it's going to be hot out, so I don't think I'm going to be there, something like that.
Or it's going to be hot and rainy and my product melts?
I mean, if, it's also like less than 24 hours before the market
Yeah.
starts. So that's where the issue is coming,
Right.
where the market manager will send out the vendor map, and somebody will email her back and say, oh, sorry, I can't be there this week. I
Right.
forgot to let you know. So
But how is a 48-hour notice going to make that any better?
to hopefully give her more time to find a different vendor.
Because, okay. That's all.
Okay, thanks, Nate, appreciate it. Moving on tonight to the fire chief report with Chief Thorrington.
Mayor, council, good evening. We're currently at 702 incidents for the year so far as of today. Our fire inspector promotional process is complete. We promoted Alex Grandy and Nelson Schilk, who are both experienced in South Lyon, as our fire inspectors. It'll take effect the next pay cycle. We still have sergeants in the process for promotions, taking a written exam tomorrow, so hopefully we'll have that figured out pretty quick as well. Engine 1 return, it's in service in quarters. However, Engine 2 had a hole in the fuel tank, so that's now in Greenville, getting a new tank put on. It should be done Wednesday or Thursday. Because of that, we're going to push off the tentatively scheduled Wednesday's spray park until we get it back, and then we'll reevaluate and schedule as soon as it's warm. So hopefully soon. Hopefully the trucks are all in good shape now. They've all been gone on return. So, but other than that, that's all I have.
Any questions for the chief? So Chief, I spoke with Katie Michalski from Representative Slotkin's office. She gave us an update on the fire engine that they're appropriating funds for.
Yes.
And I know that she talked to you about that as well. She said we've made it through the first step in that appropriation process. She feels pretty confident it's moving on to whatever the next couple of steps are, but she's very encouraged. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
Fingers crossed. Right?
Okay. Well, let's hope, especially in light of some of the other things you just said. So,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you very much, Chief. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving on to the police chief report tonight with Chief Bakke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, council. Got a couple of things today that I want to introduce some people to the department and say farewell to another one of our members of the department. I'm just going to start out right now in regards to our recruiting efforts. We've been doing some active recruiting over at local academies. We've gone to Oakland, recruited there last month. Tomorrow, we're going to be going to Schoolcraft to recruit for police officers. Macomb is going to be in September, and again, we'll be at Oakland. We do have an oral board coming up with 2 individuals that wish to be a police officer with us, so hopefully we'll be able to get at least, if not 1, 2 of them. And then we also have one of our cadet recruits that is starting the 19th, and we're really close, and I'll be able to report on this next meeting that we'll have our admin assistant position filled. But right now, who I have with me right now to my left is our newly promoted Sergeant Ron Barber. Ron has been with us since May of 2001. He made the top of the list June of 23, and it's a 2-year list for the sergeant. He is right now one of our firearms instructors, which includes pistol, rifle, shotgun. He's a shotgun armorer, and he's also a simunitions instructor. So I wanted to congratulate Sergeant Barber for being promoted, and I'm sure he'll do very well in his position. We're looking forward to working with him. And on that note, I would like to say farewell to a good friend of mine who's been here since 1990. So 90. So 34 years of service, Sergeant Sean Hoydick. He started here in August of 90. He was the youngest recruit, I think, at the time, is what he said. He's been, what's that? That's what they told me. He's been a firearms instructor since 1992. Did 2 stints as a detective bureau in late 90s, early 2000s. He became our taser instructor in 2004. Spray instructor, I think, shortly thereafter. He went to SWAT school. He also set up our patrol rifle program. So he was our tackleberry of the department. He was, what's that? Not wrong, no. Since while his tenure was here, while he was here with us, he earned 2 life savings awards, and he was given a certificate of merit for stopping a fire that someone tried to, this was probably early 90s, someone threw a gas bomb in where the old RCA building was at. He responded and put it out before it caught fire, so he was awarded, got awarded for that. He also earned a MAD award. So at this time, I would like to present Sergeant Hoydick. His last day is officially the 19th of this month, but I would like to present him with his retirement credentials, his badge, and his ID. Again, congratulations, Sean, on your 34 years of dedicated service. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And that's all I have. If anybody...
Well, how about a round of applause for
Yeah.
Sergeant Hoydick and Sergeant Barber? Sergeant Barber, come on now. Sergeant Hoydick?
Congratulations, Sergeant.
Congrats.
Congratulations, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Happy retirement.
Hey, Sean, wish you the very best, buddy.
Thank you for your service.
That's awesome. Good for you, buddy.
Thanks so much, guys.
I'll meet you.
Anything else, Chief?
Unless you've got questions. Yep.
Okay. Anybody, Councilmember Kurtzwell?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, what I want to say to the officers that are here tonight from the police department, I think retiring after, what is it, 34 years?
34 years, yep.
34 years in the South Lyon Police Department says a lot about the ability of the city of South Lyon to work well, respond well, and appreciate their officers. For a police officer to want to stay in a city for 34 years it is just absolutely remarkable. And I want to thank the gentleman for all the years of service that he has given, and hopefully he'll be a role model for other officers and that are in the department that want to also make a very long career here in the city of South Lyon. So thank you. I had 2 questions. The first one, Chief, is I am familiar with Schoolcraft. They have apparently a very good recruiting program. Do we have any officers in the department from the Schoolcraft, from the
Not this-
academy there?
Not at this time. We have, my understanding is there's 3 pre-service people there right now that do not have jobs. So we're targeting those 3 people. We usually present, we'll give them a packet, an informational packet with an application, and then because we have a limited amount of time. So it's during their lunchtime. So anytime you go to these recruiting sessions with these academies, they give you 15 minutes. So we got a PowerPoint. We'll show them what we're involved with, what we do, size of the city, all the activities we have here, and then we give them the packet and say, give us a call, okay? So right now, we've got one that just came from Oakland, and we've got 2 more that are currently police officers that want to interview for, actually 3, but one hasn't gotten back with us. So right now, we've got 2 in an oral board coming up. And then again, I have a cadet recruit that wants to go to the academy. But right now, I've got to wait for the academy to start before I can put them through. And right now, we're in either, they're just starting up, so we weren't able to get them in registration yet, or they're in the middle of academy, so they're kind of bouncing around all over, but hopefully, if the cadet recruit stays with us, we'll be getting them in, or him in January, because
Okay.
I've got some more, I think another retirement coming up.
Okay. So you've got some good plans and some good
Yeah,
avenues
we're
for
in, this is the
recruitment.
start
Yeah.
of our transitional phase of this
Yeah.
department. So right now, I'm very optimistic as far as we'll be able to fill the positions soon. It's just, we have to go through the motions on it and making sure we get the right people.
Sure, sure. Well, you want people that want to stay committed to the community.
Correct.
I mean, that's important. You know, community policing is so important. So that kind of attitude needs to definitely come in with the recruitment process, yeah. And the other one has to do with the farmer's market. You know, I received a call about 2 weeks ago about this, and then this weekend I got a couple more. And here's the issue at the farmer's market. At the farmer's market, I get it. They're doing, you know, just a bang-up business over there. The traffic is heavy. It's doing really well. But there is a problem, apparently, at those crossings when people are crossing South Lafayette to go to the farmer's market. Cars are not stopping, or they're
The crosswalk signs?
yeah, through
Okay.
those crosswalks. And
Okay.
I got a complaint from 3 different individuals this weekend that they almost got hit. They almost, in fact, one individual actually spoke to one of the police officers
Okay.
that was there. So maybe a little bit of extra visibility on those crosswalks, maybe during the peak area when it's real heavy.
Yeah, we have our officers, on-duty officers go down there and walk around and check it out, make sure everything's good. But I definitely can have them sit down there and watch that area to make sure that, at least have a presence there to slow vehicles down or saying, hey, there's somebody there to enforce that. So definitely, I will have someone take a look at it next
Okay.
Saturday.
All right, thank
Absolutely.
you, thank you, Chief.
Anyone else? Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you.
Moving on to the election report.
So in the city of South Lyon, we had 82 people that participated in the 9 days early voting. Our cost for the election inspector's wages for that time period was $5,000. The 9 days early voting is mandated through Proposal 22-2, which states all jurisdictions must offer a minimum of 9 days of early voting for all state and general elections. When the grant is available, which is supposed to be the end of this month, I plan on applying for reimbursement for the wages of our inspectors, as well as the overtime for our deputy clerk and administrative assistant. We're confident the 9 days early voting will be utilized at a much higher rate for the November election. The absentee ballots had a good return rate. We issued 2,481 and received 1,686 back, which is a 67% return rate. The average in-person voter turnout was 23.10%. I just wanted to thank all the chair people and inspectors, the office staff at City Hall, as well as the DPW for all their work. And everyone did a really great job as a team, as they always do. That's it.
Thank you, Lisa. Any questions for the city clerk regarding the election report? Councilmember Hanson?
Just a quick question. A few of the comments that I heard from some of the poll workers, just about trying to better educate the public on getting out the vote ahead of time. Is there anything that we as a city can do to better educate, you know, the broad public that, you know, we have those early voting days and that they're available to them? I mean, it is still kind of new, I guess, but I mean, we are putting a notice like on the water bills leading up to it, right? And then
We put it on the water bills, we put it on our website, it's on the downtown Facebook page. We did have the person that runs the DDA social media, they put it on Twitter, I believe it was, or Instagram. So we did that. We put notices around the office for the entire month of July because the people were coming in to pay their water bills. So we had them on each of the plastic things in front of everybody's desk. We had it on the front doors, and then we bought those big flags that were at the front of the building that said "Vote Here." We're trying the best we can. I know November will be a lot busier. And it'll get better as time goes on, because it is new.
Is the grant that we're applying for only for wages? Like, is there any sort of marketing that, okay, no, I figured I'd ask.
Just for wages for the inspectors and our employees.
Thank you.
Councilmember Dilg?
Thank you. I just want to say, again, I appreciate the fact that I work here for the polls because I get to see all the work that you guys do. And just the patience and kindness and helpfulness that you and all the staff show, and just the knowledge that you have to make things run smoothly, very impressive.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Did you have something, Councilmember Kurtzwell? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also wanted to say, I'm not too concerned about, I think you've done a good job promoting early voting, but not everybody wants to vote early. So, we need to understand, all we're doing is providing an option and an alternative to voting on Election Day. That doesn't mean that if we don't get big numbers during early voting, that doesn't mean that we have failed in our abilities to communicate the message. It just means that the behavior and conduct of the voter is either they want to vote absentee or they want to vote on the day of the election. So I think you've done a great job on that. And I've said it, and I'll say it, if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Your vote counts here in South Lyon. These are very safe elections, very good elections. They're run very, very well. And I, too, want to commend the staff and everything that you do to stay committed to election integrity in this city. And I'm going to say it again, your vote counts in this city. Votes count in the city because of how good you run an election. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. We have no unfinished business this evening. And as I move on to new business, as I said, we've added new business number 1, which are the amended minutes from the July 8th, 2024 meeting minutes. Just to reiterate, it was basically that a motion was made in the public portion of the meeting after the closed session on July 8th, 2024. It was omitted from the meeting minutes due to a clerical error. It was not corrected at the next meeting as required by the Open Meetings Act, and therefore we need to make a motion to approve the addition of the amended minutes to the record for that date. And you have a copy of the amended minutes in front of you on your, at your seat. So I'm looking for a motion and a second to add the amended minutes to the record. Councilmember Bogert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to accept the revision to the July 8th, 2024 minutes.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Bogert, a second by Councilmember Hanson. Any further discussion regarding this? Councilmember Kurtzwell.
Mr. Mayor, could you just read that content into the record one more time?
Sure.
So now it's part of the official record?
Are you looking for what I read previously?
Yeah, that would be
Okay.
great.
So basically, as I stated at the opening of this meeting, it's come to my attention that the motion made in the public portion of the meeting after closed session on July 8th, 2024 was omitted from the meeting minutes due to a clerical error. It was not corrected at the next meeting as required by the Open Meetings Act, and therefore I would like to make a record of the action today. After the closed session on July 8th, 2024, before the motion to adjourn, a motion was made by Councilmember Kurtzwell and supported by Councilmember Hanson to authorize the city attorney to proceed as discussed in that closed session. A vote was taken and the motion passed unanimously. So now we have a motion to add the amended minutes to the record. We have a second. Any further discussion? City Clerk Deaton, if you'll lead us on a roll call vote on this one?
Yes.
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 Oh, me.
I went already. Still yes.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to a discussion of the budget for this evening. Anybody have anything for the budget? All right. Move on to public comment. Again, if you have anything you'd like to say, you have a 2-minute time allotment. Please state your name and address for the city clerk. Seeing none, we'll close public comment and we'll move on to the manager's report with City Manager Zelnick.
A few items I want to update council on. The road improvement projects continue. They have paved both sides of the street in Eagle Point subdivision with the base course, and they are expected to put the top course on within the next couple of weeks. The paving project in Brookfield subdivision continues. They're removing concrete and repouring sections, and that will continue for the next several months, or next several weeks until they do the paving. Another item is I updated council on is cemetery improvements. We are in the process of putting together several items for the council review for our cemetery, including the purchases of the columbarium, setting new rates for our cemetery plots, and opening a new section of the cemetery, which was in determining the new rules for section 11. We'll have this on an upcoming agenda. And the last item had to do with the marijuana litigation. Judge Nancy Grant has granted judgment in favor of the city of South Lyon and other communities on behalf. We filed a lawsuit challenging the marijuana ballot committee petitions. And here to update us tonight from Rosani Schultz, Joppich, and Arborsher is City Attorney Ann McClory-McLaughlin, and she'll give an update on that whole process.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I was the principal litigator of the lawsuit that was filed. You are all, I'm sure, aware of the background of the case, where the city clerk received a petition for a ballot proposal to put before the voters to amend the city charter to add a complete regulatory scheme for marijuana licenses in the city. The ballot committee was named South Lyon Survey Committee. In addition to providing for the number of permissible marijuana establishments, the proposal gave preferences to property owners who already own property in the city and who have been pre-qualified by the Cannabis Regulatory Agency. That would limit probably the available licenses or approvable licenses to the people interested in this ballot proposal. And would preclude anyone else who might be interested in buying or leasing or having an interest in property and applying and competing for a marijuana license to run a retail establishment. Under the Michigan Regulation and Taxation of Marijuana Act, individuals may propose an initiative for an ordinance, either to set the number of permissible marijuana establishments to be permitted in the city or to prohibit them altogether. That is the extent of what the MRTMA permits. But the marijuana industry does not want to be limited only to establishing a number. They want to set the terms of the regulatory scheme that will bind various cities and under terms, of course, that are very favorable to them. Which is unlike any other type of commercial business in the city. So they have recently pivoted away from simply proposing ordinances, because the only thing they can do with an ordinance is to say, hey, let's have 3 or 5 or whatever the number might be, or say we're not going to have them all together, which of course they're not going to do. So in the past couple of years, many ballot proposals have reached various cities, and they go beyond the number, and the courts have held, no, you're limited under the MRTMA to an ordinance that says how many. Other small city clients of our firm also received substantially the same proposal that was presented to South Lyon by, a survey committee named after each community. And ordinarily, a defective petition would simply be rejected, and then the petition circulators would sue the city or the clerk or both and seek a court order to order the city or the clerk to put the ballot proposal on the November ballot. because we had so many clients that were involved in dealing with these proposals, we took a little bit of a different tack, and we filed suit with the approval of the various communities and councils. So along with the cities of Farmington, Sylvan Lake, and Wixom, we filed a complaint seeking injunctive and declaratory relief to declare that the petitions were not eligible for the November ballot and to prevent them from being placed on the ballot. The survey committees filed their answer to the complaint and filed counter complaints against the cities and their clerks, asking that the court do what they normally do, which is called a writ of mandamus, ordering the city clerks to perform a public duty, which is to place the issue on the ballot. They also filed we filed a motion for preliminary injunction asking that the judge enjoin the ballot proposal from appearing on the November ballot. The other parties filed a motion to have a ruling declared in their favor along with a writ of mandamus. The hearing took place last Wednesday, April 7th, after which Judge Nancy Grant took the matter under advisement. She inquired because many times the courts are unwilling to consider the substance of a ballot proposal before it gets on the ballot, and their preference is to, unless it is on its face defective somehow, the preference is to let it go to the voters and see what happens, essentially. And so Judge Grant asked me why she should make, that decision now. And I provided her with a case that she ruled in a couple of years ago on behalf of, I believe it was the city of Farmington, in which she said, if you go beyond the MRTMA and you go beyond the number, your proposal is not eligible for the ballot, and that ruling was upheld by the Michigan Court of Appeals. So I provided that information to her, and the next day, late in the day, the next day, she issued a decision saying, under MRTMA, you're only allowed to do an ordinance, not a charter amendment, and you're only allowed to deal with the number. The municipality has the right to establish the regulations and any further ordinances that might pertain to operation or applications of marijuana businesses. So on Friday, the survey committees filed an appeal to the Michigan Court of Appeals because Judge Grant, essentially granted a judgment in favor of the plaintiffs, the cities. So they were able to take it immediately to the Michigan Court of Appeals. They filed a motion for immediate consideration and an expedited appeal so that the appeal will be resolved before all of the deadlines under the election law must take place, so that if the court rules in their favor, the matters can be placed on the ballot. But I feel pretty good about our chances. The briefs have not been filed yet. I expect that they might be filing theirs right now, for all I know. But it will be a very quick process. The Court of Appeals is very familiar with this kind of a thing. They've been dealing with this since the two marijuana laws, well, especially since the recreational marijuana law was passed by the voters in 2018. Almost annually, they deal with these types of questions that come before them because the ballot at this time of year, because this is when it has to happen. So we expect an answer from the Court of Appeals pretty shortly, I would say within the next 2 weeks, once all the briefing is finished. Some Court of Appeals panels have not even entertained argument. They've just made decisions based on the briefs that are submitted. But I don't know what this panel, and we don't know which panel it will be assigned to. So we will certainly provide you with the decision when we get it.
Okay, thank you. We have any questions for the city attorney's representative or Paul Zelnick for the manager's report? Councilmember Kivel.
Are you familiar with anything that had the idea of how many things could take place in that, how many of these houses, whatever you're calling them, the stores for the marijuana. Not in that idea, but some other industry that had, or some other thing where people are trying to get the ability to push things that are not their purview to be able to take control of. The idea that you can't have more, here it's two, isn't it? Two selling places, and if there was something,
I would have to check to verify that.
okay. I don't know, it just seems like completely lopsided for them to end up having, I can understand them asking about it, but the idea that them getting sanctioned to be able to do that, it doesn't sound like the judge is real interested in entertaining that idea either, but it just seems strange that would even be taken into consideration.
Right, and I would like to point out that the law applies this business about presenting an initiative for a petition for a ballot proposal for an ordinance to establish the number applies to every municipality in the state of Michigan. It's not just limited to cities. It applies to townships, villages, any other type of local community. So to put something like this in a city charter would treat home rule cities differently, because townships don't have charters. Townships have the general state law that addresses their powers and duties, or charter townships, for example. There's no city charter. There's no township charter, if you will. So that was one of the points that we made in our briefs as well, and Judge Grant kind of latched onto, which is you're treating cities differently, and the law doesn't say you can treat cities differently. It says municipalities. That means everybody. So I think she rightly recognized that it would put home rule cities at a disadvantage, because they would be, if they were allowed to put this on the ballot and it passed and they were allowed to start dictating the rules, it would, tie your hands and tie your administration's hands as to what could be done regulatory wise. And, obviously, as I mentioned, very favorable to the industry and in particular, the people who apparently already have some type of property interest in property around town and have already been approved by the state marijuana regulatory agency. So, you're welcome.
Councilmember Kurtzwell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Since this is a public record and the public is probably hearing about this for the first time, I think it's kind of important to bring out two other issues in this particular case, is that the individuals were proposing in the ballot proposal to dictate who in our city was going to be responsible for granting licenses. So in other words, this ballot proposal was taking away the authority of not only city council, but taking away the authority of the city manager to determine his personnel, to determine the job description of his personnel. It would no longer be the province of any of us. It was now going to be controlled by the marijuana industry as to who we were going to have in our city, who we were going to hire to make sure that that individual approved licenses, and we had to make that person respond to them, not to us. There were additional problems with the ballot language. That included the zoning issues. That particular ballot proposal was going to upheave our zoning in the city of South Lyon. And it was going to take away zoning restrictions for where you could put dispensaries and places that sell marijuana in terms of a retail. So we would no longer have the ability to say, doesn't go near a school, doesn't go near a church. So why do you need city council to do zoning when you have this ballot proposal coming in and dictating how you are going to zone your city? So there were many problems with this particular ballot proposal, and it clearly was aimed at destroying the infrastructure of local government, because they were going to come in and tell you how to run your city.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And I didn't mention those points. I was trying to be as brief as I could, but we did raise those in the lawsuit and in the motion that was argued and heard by the judge last week.
Any other questions for the attorney or for Paul? Certainly appreciate the update, Ann. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Paul, I just have one question. Can you tell me where we stand on notifying the company who owns the billboard in McCaddy Park that we are not going to renew that contract when it comes up for automatic renewal, just to make sure we don't miss that window? Have we already notified them we're not going to renew it, or?
Yes, we have. We've already submitted letters of certified mail. I believe it was 2 or 3 months ago. We sent them to them.
Okay, because it's up, what, next April, I think it was, or
April, that's
something?
correct.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Any other questions for anybody? Very good. Thank you so very much. Appreciate the information. Move on to council comments this evening. We'll start with Councilmember Kivel.
Well, things have been looking really nice in town. An awful lot of stuff is getting done. It's been fun having, like, the concerts in the park and things have been not rained out and stuff, so that's been helpful. And we're getting good attendance at those, so that's really helpful too. Save for that, I'm knee-deep in trying to get a fence up at my house, so I haven't been able to get out as much as I typically would, but I thought that those were really, it was charming to end up being in the park this last Friday, so.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Kurtzwell?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too just want to compliment all the individuals that are attending the concerts in the park. It's great because I noticed that a lot of the people stick around in South Lyon, and we have many places to go, so I'm glad to see people are making a great evening of it. Just want to remind everybody that we've got a big weekend coming up in September, the weekend of September 7th. It's going to be a huge weekend here in the city of South Lyon. There'll be more details on it later. And I do want to compliment Ryan and Aaron, who have been working so hard over at the Witch's Hat, putting together their pollinator garden. I was over there today checking in on them, and they're just working so hard. And they've got a big event, so I'm sure somebody here will be talking about it also. They've got a big event coming up on Saturday, but they're doing a good job, and they're working hard, and by next year, there'll be plenty of butterflies and bees there. And last, I want to put on the record that St. Joseph's Catholic Church has been recognized nationally as a Monarch Way Station, so they now have gained national recognition for the efforts over there that they are doing to work on the endangered monarch butterfly. So this is a fabulous recognition that they have received. They've worked hard over there. The signs are up in the parking lot, and you can walk in and see the milkweed, and you'll see the monarch butterflies. It's incredible what a little bit of work can do in terms of reviving that particular species. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Mosier?
Thank you. Just want to say the last 3 weeks in town have been very busy. We had Motorfest, Christmas in July, all the park concerts and the farmers markets. It's just been busy, but they were packed. I don't think that we've seen this many people out in a very long time, and it was fun, a lot of fun. We still have a lot of summer left, so I'd like to see everybody out and enjoying themselves. Other than that, we're good.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Dilk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was going to talk about the Fury Fair Feast coming up at the Witch's Hat on Saturday from 2 to 11. It's an annual food drive and fundraiser. And over the last 11 years, they've donated over $130,000 and 13,000 pounds of food. It is also a lot of fun, and there's some great bands there. The Verve Pipe, if anyone knows them, it's a great band, a good get for them. I think that's going to be a packed event. So hopefully people will come out and help raise some funds and food for some of the needy people in our community. Also, we mentioned earlier the elections. If anybody has any concerns about elections and the safety of them, or just wondering how they work, or would like to serve, to let our clerk's office know. We can always use extra elections inspectors, and it's important work, and November's going to be busy, so hopefully, the November election's going to be busy, so hopefully we get, a lot of volunteers for that. I also wanted to thank the new DDA board. Thanks for your work and for re-upping, for helping our downtown. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Bogert?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to add to the Fury and the Feast, the event benefits blessings in a backpack and active faith. I also want to advise the community about an upcoming event during Pumpkin Fest, which is South Lyon Live, which is a fundraising concert event which benefits Operation Injured Soldiers. Tickets are now available. They have a billboard right by the train tracks. Should be a good time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Hanson?
Just a brief comment, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I just want to thank all the city staff, the city clerk, all the election workers that put quite a bit of time into pulling off a smooth election yet again. Definitely appreciate all their efforts, their commitment, and their decorum. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Tonight, I just want to remind everyone that the next 2 Fridays will be the last concerts in the park for this year. This Friday, we're going to have the Detroit Social Club providing a variety of blues and Motown hits. And then next Friday, we'll finish the season with the Randy Brock Group delivering a great selection of rock classics. In addition, this Friday, we'll have another movie in the park beginning at 6 p.m. with Bounce Houses, Crafts, and Kona Ice. And then the movie Troll Band Together will be shown at dusk. So gather the family and head over to McCaddy Park for some great entertainment. Finally tonight, I want to wish Janet Renwick the very best as she leaves our South Lyon community and moves up north. Janet and her husband Jack have been part of this community for many decades. Jack was a former mayor and city council member for this city. They were both EMTs, established the South Lyon Ambulance well before HVA took over those duties. Both of them were involved with Pumpkin Fest during its early days. They are the owners of Parkside Cleaners on Pontiac Trail. They were involved with Operation Injured Soldier, and they were involved with Historical Society and were instrumental in relocating the Witches Hat Depot to its current location to begin establishing the historic village. Jack passed away 2 years ago after being married to Janet for 71 years. And so tonight I want to wish Janet the very best if she moves up north to begin this next chapter in her life. And while she'll no longer be in the South Lyon community, she will always be a part of it. And so with that, I look for a motion to adjourn and a second, please. Councilmember Kurtzwell.
Move to adjourn?
I'll second.
Thank you very much. See you in a couple weeks.